just a few days away from the start of NFL free agencies, and on today's episode of New England Patriots Today by Chat Sports, we're going to take a look at 5 blockbuster free agent targets that New England could take a look at. So we're going to get into that here on today's show. My name is Harrison Graham. Rolly, let's recap the franchise tag day. Kyle Duggar got the transition tag. Mike Onwenu appears to be testing the open market.
Yeah, so we have 5 guys we're going to look at, but we're looking at outside the Patriots organization. But I did want to quickly mention the 2 in-house guys that the Patriots should re-sign and try to retain. Kyle Duggar was going to get the transition tag, so the Patriots can offer any offer sheet for him. That came in yesterday afternoon. And then Mike Onwenu is officially a free agent right tackle that New England is hoping to re-sign. And maybe they feel confident in re-signing Onwenu, so they place the tag on Kyle Duggar. That could be something that we didn't really talk about yesterday on that video. But I also wanted to mention them because, well, that was breaking news yesterday when Kyle Duggar got that transition tag by New England. Don't miss any Patriots breaking news in the future as, well, free agency starts in just about 3 or 4 days. Subscribe, turn on those notifications so when the Patriots make a signing, and I expect there to be a lot of signings for New England as they are number 1 in cap space in the NFL, you do not miss a thing.
You got to be sure to select that bell icon, because if you don't have the noties turned on, sometimes you'll get sent a noti like hours after the fact, so you want to be sure you're locked in real time. All right, Rolly, let's get this popping. And listen, these are blockbuster targets, so, could be a bit of a reach on a couple of these guys. Like Chris Jones, the heavy expectation is that he'll re-sign with Kansas City, but he is in line to hit the open market if he doesn't extend before next Monday. And listen, if he somehow were attainable, I think he'd be at the top of just about everybody's list.
Listen, we've talked about Christian Wilkins and the possibility of bringing him into Foxborough to pair up with Christian Barmore. The same could be said for Chris Jones, but he's just significantly better than Wilkins. Sure, He's a little bit older and would be wildly more expensive, but it's because he's a top 3, top 5 defensive player in all of football, and his impact in terms of generating pressure up the middle of the defense is second to none, and he just can absolutely disrupt opposing teams' game plans. You saw what he was able to do in the fourth quarter and overtime against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. He absolutely could have impacted that game, and he might have changed that course of the game, especially late, is not allowing Purdy to have times to find some open guys. Like Chris Jones would be, yes, probably unlikely, but his impact would be probably the best out of any free agent that we could possibly talk about on the defensive side of the football. But the only thing, it's probably going to cost you like $30 million a season.
Yeah, you're probably looking at like 4 for 120 or something like that. I mean, look, there's no doubt about it, Rolly, especially in some big games. He's won them some games in this championship window that Kansas City's been on. I mean, you mentioned the play against the Niners against Purdy late in that game where they have to kick a field goal. If Purdy has half a second longer, it's probably a touchdown, and Jones just blows the play up. So he tends to come up big in the big moments. He's a consistent player as well. I would argue the last 2 years he has overtaken Aaron Donald as the best interior rusher in this league. So if he's able to get, even if you're a team like New England that's probably kind of in the early parts of a rebuild, I would absolutely pay him big money because he can just completely wreck games by himself. And oh, by the way, Barmore sitting right next to him, one of the best run stuffers and an improved pass rusher. That's a scary duo to think about. I don't think it's likely, but if they're willing to open the bank for him, maybe there's a slight possibility. Something that feels more likely than it did last week, Rolly, is bringing in veteran Tyron Smith at left tackle. I mean, I came on this show and said, you could pretty much forget about that. I expect Dallas to re-sign him. Well, apparently discussion stalled there, and he's going to hit free agency and likely sign elsewhere. I know he's older, but last year he played 13 or 14 games, was mostly healthy, and played at an all-pro level. He would be a great blindside protector for whoever this team's quarterback is.
To me, Tyron Smith has quickly turned into one of the highest priorities for the New England Patriots in free agency. I didn't have him at number 1 on the list because I think Chris Jones would have overall, out of the people on this 5-player list, the biggest impact on the Patriots roster and their ability to win next season. But Tyron Smith is right there and the number 1 offensive guy because he will come in, and if he could stay healthy, he is a top 10 left tackle in the game still at 33 years old. Sure, you would have to shell out some money like you would have with any of these guys on this list because these are 5 blockbuster guys. But we talked about a couple days ago as well, the flexibility this allows the Patriots to have entering the NFL draft, where maybe they don't have to draft an offensive tackle in the first 2 rounds. Maybe they can wait till round 3 to get a developmental guy to learn behind Tyron Smith and potentially be that swing tackle. Tyron Smith, he's really good at what he does, and assuming that you're drafting a rookie quarterback, well, it's nice to have a consistent and well-versed guy protecting his blind side at that left tackle position. To me, it makes all the sense in the world to really go after Tyron Smith, and I'm not afraid to offer him some hefty money on a 2-3-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you bring him in, you're probably going to need a somewhat reliable swing tackle just because he likely will miss some games. But, I mean, the guy was, I believe, second-team All-Pro this year. He's still very, very good. So I would, 2-3-year deal maybe for someone like Tyron Smith. I would certainly be very, very open to that. Let us know, who do you want the Patriots to sign in free agency? Remember, the legal tampering period begins next Monday. Let us know who that person is. Maybe it's Calvin Ridley, Rolly, who has emerged as the clear top receiver on the open market. Mike Evans is back in Tampa on a 2-year deal. Michael Pittman Jr. and T. Higgins both got franchise tag. Calvin Ridley is kind of a notch above every other free agent receiver right now. And look, he might become too expensive for Jacksonville to keep, considering that fact, because teams might overpay for Ridley, considering the next tier of receivers is like Marquise Brown, Darnell Mooney, even Kendrick Bourne. Like, there's a notable gap there between Ridley and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, what once looked like an elite wide receiver free agency class quickly diminished with Mike Evans, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, all returning to their respective teams, who either the franchise tag or re-signing in Mike Evans' case, which leaves Calvin Ridley as the only true wide receiver one in free agency. And if that's the route New England wants to go to fill that wide receiver position rather than the draft, well, I still think they should draft someone, but if they want a true wide receiver one, Ridley is the only one out there. So if they're going to try to do something like that, they are going to have to pay a premium. But like we've mentioned in the past, it is beneficial to New England to have the most cap space in all of the NFL entering free agency, because if they believe that that is their number one guy in the biggest position of need at wide receiver, well, then they can offer $2-3 million per season more than potentially any other team can, and they could bring in Ridley, who, when he plays a full season, he is simply a 1,000-yard receiver, and there's really no question about that. It's just the only thing with him is his gambling suspension, but looks like that's all good. We're in the clear with that. He's a little bit older. He's 27, 28 already, but he's still a great player.
Yeah, I think he's 29 now,
turned 29
actually.
already?
He's sneaky old because he was like 23 when he came into the league. But I'll be curious to see how the league views him, because to me, he's not in this A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase level wide receiver one, but he's better than most wide receiver twos, but you're probably going to have to pay him like a wide receiver one because he's the clear top guy. Like, I guess my question is, Roy, is like, if his price gets $23-24 million per year, like, the Patriots have that money, are you willing to shelf that out for a guy who's played 20 games in the last 3 years now? It's a fair question to ask. The Patriots need receivers, but do you want to give them $25 million a year? I don't know.
I do get that concern, but I just can't, I don't want to do what we did with Mac Jones the past 2 seasons. If you're going to go young quarterback at 3, I don't want to feed him to the wolves. If you're able to bring in a wide receiver one here, then you go potentially offensive tackle. If you value Ridley over Tyron Smith, you grab the wide receiver, you go O-tackle at round 2, and that rookie quarterback has that left tackle with the young guy, and then you have Ridley as a wide receiver one. We've seen the importance of an elite wide receiver to a young quarterback. Is Calvin Ridley elite? Maybe not, but he certainly is someone that you can target on money downs and in money situations.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How about Christian Wilkins, who he seems more gettable than a guy like Chris Jones? I mean, I don't think he's going back to Miami. The fact that they didn't franchise tag him, I think they're kind of accepting the fact that he may walk out the door. And if Chris Jones does end up back in Kansas City like most people expect, well, then Christian Wilkins becomes pretty clearly that top defensive tackle. Matabike got franchise tagged in Baltimore. If I'm throwing big money at a guy that I think I can get, I think this is the player. I mean, I think I would go up between $22-25 million for Christian Wilkins. I think he's, 26, 27. He's still pretty young. Had his best year of his career as a pass rusher. He's always been one of the best run stuffers. I mean, talk about a beefy interior. If you pair this guy up with Christian Barmore, I mean, get the Christians going in the comments right now. That would be fun, Rolly. And I don't know if you watched any of the in-season Hard Knocks or if you've seen any of Christian Wilkins' in-game audio.
Oh,
the guy he's a character. He is absolutely hilarious.
He is something, and he's not afraid to get in the mix. We know that. He tried snatching Cam Newton's chain in 2020 after the Patriots beat him on opening day. Wilkins has always been a nuisance to the Patriots, that is for sure. I wouldn't hate bringing him home for the same reasons why we said a Barmore-Chris Jones duo would be so elite. The same thing could be said for Wilkins. He's not as good as a pass rusher, but he had a career-high 9 sacks this past season for Miami. But a Wilkins-Barmore run-stopping duo would no doubt be the best in football. The two of them would just be absolutely menaces inside, which only allows Matthew Judon and whoever they re-sign or sign to be the other edge across from him on the formation to be even more elite at getting after the quarterback from the perimeters.
Yeah, that's a tough interior to block one-on-one if you have Wilkins and Barmore in there. So I'm definitely intrigued by that possibility. And you see these guys all the time, Rolly, when they leave teams. They like to stay in the division a lot of the time. I would not be surprised if the Patriots showed interest here. All right, guys, we've told you the chase to 9,000 subscribers is our goal. We're trying to get there by the start of free agency, and we consider the start on Monday. That's when a lot of these deals get agreed upon. They don't officially sign until Wednesday, but very rarely does a deal fall apart. So hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 9,000 by Monday. We would greatly appreciate it. And Rolly says he'll do a beer bomb.
I'll make a promise, man. I'll chug a beer on the show if we get to 9,000 subscribers before. I'll say it's 11 CT on Monday or 12 p.m. Eastern time. If we are at 9,000 subscribers before that mark, I'm going to do it on a video. I'm a man of my word, so let's hit the sub button. It only benefits you guys. Let's hit that goal.
All right, let's make it happen here. Okay, Danielle Hunter, the last one here. Who is pretty clearly the top edge rusher, as both Josh Allen, the Jags edge rusher, and Brian Burns got franchise tagged. 29, 30 years old, so he's a tick on the older side, Rolly, but his last 4 fully healthy seasons, he's averaged 14 sacks a year. He's still a guy who can get it done at a productive clip.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic, and if we take that report that came out late last week at face value of the Patriots wanting to add an elite defensive player to this defense that can start right away in that veteran role with Matthew Judon, it kind of seems like Danielle Hunter can be that guy. A Hunter-Judon edge duo, well, we keep on saying these duos would be the best in the league. Well, it's because it's true. Like a Judon-Hunter pass rushing duo at that edge position, I don't know who's better. If you got someone, Harrison, maybe this is would be a bias.
TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith.
That's a good duo,
it's close.
Both those guys in terms of Hunter and Judon would be consistent 12.5 more sack season guys when they're fully healthy. It'd be so dynamic. And the best part about having the cap space New England has is that they could be versatile in the way they spend it, right? If they want to add a lot of offense, they can. If they want to create the best pass rush in all of football, they can. Whether they sign one of the people in the interior defensive line or they go the edge route. Like, I also think that the best way to fast track a rebuild is win in the trenches. Yeah. And you would be winning in the trenches with your defensive line if you signed any of the 3 edge/defensive tackles we talked about to pair up with Barmore and Judon, because you already have 2 good building blocks. Now you add an elite player inside or on the outside. Now you're talking business.
Yeah, and you got to think Jerod Mayo would love to get one of these premier defensive linemen in here to go get after the quarterback, just add to an already really good group. So I would expect New England to open the pockets a little bit and make some offers. We'll see, where Danielle Hunter is interested in signing, where Christian Wilkins is interested in going. Chris Jones, again, it's a long shot, but, if you could somehow get a meeting with them and pitch him on kind of helping be a part of this rebuild, if you're willing to pay him top dollar, I certainly wouldn't say no to that. So I'm with you. If you can get one of these 3 dudes, I mean, it makes an already undisputed top 10 defense. I think for sure top 5 at that standpoint, and maybe even top 3 if the offense can hold its own and not just have the defense be on the field the entire time. So there you have it. 5 blockbuster free agent targets: Chris Jones, Tyron Smith, Calvin Ridley, Christian Wilkins, and Danielle Hunter. I think Tyron Smith and Christian Wilkins are the 2 that feel most likely to me. We'll keep an eye on Calvin Ridley as well, but certainly going to be a lot of fun over these next several days. What say you? The Patriots should focus on offense or defense in free agency? Let us know, offense, defense, down in the comment section below. I think just adding premier players is going to help regardless of what side of the football. A couple of honorable mentions, Rolly.
Yeah, I did want to talk about a couple of these guys real quick before we headed out of here. Saquon Barkley, the running back from New York, is going to be on the open market. This is one of the best running back classes in free agency history, by the way. Like Saquon, Eckler, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, they're all
Tony
there.
Pollard, yeah.
Pat Leonard of the New York Post reported in his Saquon Barkley going to be free agency piece today, saying the potential suitor could be the New England Patriots, so I wanted to put him on the list. I don't know if it's smart for New England to allocate a lot of money to running back when you already have Ramondre Stevenson, but I already did some fantasizing, per se, of a Saquon, Ramondre, Jaden Daniels backfield where you can do a lot of fun stuffs in terms of the running game. And then also Noah Fant, who's probably the second or best tight end on the market. Patriots need to sign a couple guys, as all 3 of their tight ends from last season are on the free agency market. I expect Hunter Henry to garner some interest in terms of returning from Jerod Mayo and Eliot Wolf, but if they can't bring back Hunter Henry, I think Noah Fant would be a very good replacement for him as the Patriots tight end 1.
Yeah, for those wondering, Dalton Schultz, 3 years, $36 million back with the Texans, so he's not out there. So, yeah, tight end's an area they got to add at least 1 guy in free agency before the draft, because it's possible that room is going to be completely new. So keep an eye on that position as well. We will be back tomorrow with more Patriots content, so subscribe and join us then.